Hey everyone, so today we will be doing a reaction to the Dwaine Pretorius press conference that obviously took place earlier today, this morning. I think just it happened. So we did upload it to the channel, so some of you guys might have watched it, but I thought it would be an awesome opportunity for us to react to this raw on live on the show and give our reaction to this from the get-go, and you guys can see how we react to what has been said. We obviously can chat about the different parts of this particular press conference, the questions asked, the answers given by Dwayne, but also just generally, we're going to talk about the news in general as well. So I think that's going to be an exciting show today to talk about different various topics. I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. But first and foremost, if you are new to this channel and it's the first time that you are here, please subscribe to the channel. There's a big red button. It shouldn't be red. Please click subscribe, click that notification bell for all future videos as well, please. It's very important that you do so. And also smash that like button, comment, share, and do all of those things too. It's very important that we get into other recommended feeds. So please do that for us right away. And also subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. You can also become a patron today. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. If you wanted to support us and the team and everything that all the hard work that's been put on this particular channel, you can really help us out by showing your appreciation with a Patreon by becoming a Patreon today. You can also send me a PayPal. The link is in the description as well. If you do feel the need to want to donate to something or to something specific, you can just let me know by contributing with a PayPal. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Looking forward to discussing different things with you guys and particularly reacting to Dwaine Pretorius's press conference as well. So see you on the other side. A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. Now, before we get started with regards to this particular interview, this press conference with Dwaine Pretorius, I'm just going to let you guys wait a little bit for our reaction on that. I just want to get through some news stories that have come out recently. The first one I want to discuss is that Deva Brevis and Tristan Stubbs have been put on the list at the 100 as wild cards and potential wild cards. So South Africa and Mumbai Indians batters are up for selection in Thursday's mini draft. This was written by Matt Arola on ESPN Cricket Info. He says that Deva Brevis, Tristan Stubbs, and young South African batters who played for Mumbai Indians in IPL 2022 have registered their interest in becoming overseas players in the 100 this summer. So it's important to know that. We know both players are very talented players. Will be a big move for the both of them to go there and play in the 100. So it will be very interesting to see what happens and what will take place, and if they do get picked up in the 100. So it's good to know what is happening next with regards to Deerwald as well as Tristan. We know that Tristan's currently with the Proteas team, so we're hoping that we're going to obviously see him perform as best as he can, of course, in for the Proteas if he gets an opportunity. So I'm hoping that will happen and that will take place. So it's going to, though. I will say that the one aspect that I'm worried about is the amount of cricket that these two lads are playing. They're playing a hell of a lot of cricket, particularly Dewald, who hasn't stopped since since Matric. I mean, since the under-19 World Cup, the under-19 camps, playing for the Titans as well in a couple of games, then also playing for his under-19 in the domestic scene, then going to the World Cup and playing the full tournament, straight to the IPL playing games. So it has been non-stop for Dewald. I'm so happy actually that he has gotten time off. You saw our exclusive interview with Dewald Brevis. Go please and watch that if you haven't yet. Some excellent insight over there. But we know that he's been spending some time with his friends and his family. So that's a good thing. It's a nice to reset his mind and reset everything going forward. So that's a piece of news that I would want to just get out of the way and let you guys know about it. Deerwood, I had a conversation with Deerwood as well. He made it clear that what his intentions are. He did say that he's put his name in the hat, and now we can obviously speak about it because it's actually the story's been broken and the information is out. The next thing I want to talk about, and this is what's brought to our attention by Werner, and he said, and also we saw it all over social media about 7 hours ago as well. The UAE T20 League announces an early 2023 window set for a clash of dates with BBL, B, with the BBL, the BPL, and the CSA League, that new league that we are trying to organize. This league is going to clash with that. Now, this is going to cause some problems because the player availability is likely going to be the issue. According to this article as well on ESPN Cricket Info, um, the tournament is now scheduled to take place from January 6th to February 12th next year. Um, and there are going to be quite a few guys that are not maybe going to, they're going to have to choose which tournament they want to play in. It's going to be very difficult for us to launch a tournament, especially an inaugural tournament like it is. It's very difficult for us to launch a tournament when we know that certain players are not going to be available. That's going to be a massive issue. Three different tournaments clashing, four different tournaments clashing with each other. I don't think that's a very smart move from whoever has thought about changing the date to this date. I know that it's got to do with obviously the time of the year as well and conditions and all of those type of things and finding the right time for those type of tournaments. But as things stands, the Big Bash League, the Bangladesh Premier League, and the proposed New South African tournament are going to clash with this particular tournament and the schedule window. The eighth edition of the Pakistan Super League is tentatively scheduled to start just days after the ILT20s finish as well. So I don't know what they're going to do and which players are going to play in our league. It's going to be interesting to see what is going to take place over there. But I just thought I'll get some of those news stories out of the way before we get the main story, and that is obviously today is the press conference of Dwaine Pretorius, and I'm going to be adding Aditya into the mix to help me with it. Welcome to the show, Aditya. First and foremost, just give me your insight on the two major news stories that I broke to, that are not broke, but that I spoke about today, that broke earlier today on ESPN Greek Info, that I spoke about today on the show at the top of the show. First and foremost, Diova Brevis, Tristan Stubbs, 100. They're going to be playing more competitive cricket. There's no breaks in between or anything. Do you think, despite that, that's good exposure for the two lads if they do get picked up?
Yeah, I do. I think the 100 is probably one of those new tournaments that has gained popularity, and in the same way that T20 cricket influenced 50 over cricket and Test cricket, I think tactically the 100 will also have bearing on the way T20 cricket is played. And a lot of the people that they played with in the IPL are going to be in the 100 as well. So it's going to be a competitive tournament, and um, I'm sure that they'll do well, and it's good exposure. I'm totally for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a bit of a. The only concern really is maybe at such a young age being part of so many different leagues. It could cause burnout, like Lorenzo
Yeah,
says in the. Was it Lorenzo or was it Lorenzo said it in the
yeah, it
comment
is
section?
Lorenzo.
Careers even before their careers even properly start. I mean, Tristan's barely played 4-day cricket. Deva Brevis has barely played 4-day cricket, but this shows a sign of where cricket is going, the direction that cricket is going. It's going to be very difficult to turn these opportunities down as a youngster coming through if you're talented. And it's going to be almost inevitable that they will be seen by major tournaments like the IPL and other tournaments around the world because of their talents. So we rather need to find ways to manage it rather than finding ways to fight against it.
Yeah, and the thing is, like you talked about the new, it's called, what's it called? The International League T20 in
Yeah.
the UAE, IL T20. And I was just having this conversation on our group. I don't know if you saw, but I think cricket needs to find a way to adapt to the monsoon in the subcontinent and the winter in the southern hemisphere and England as well. Because I think that's probably the only part of the year where cricket is not being played, and I guess it's time for, I don't know, technology to play a part there, or I don't know, closed stadiums, heated stadiums. In Qatar, for example, for the Football World Cup, they're making air-conditioned stadiums. So I don't know if technology has evolved to that point where the reverse could take place for cricket. But
I think, Aditya, I'm not 100% sure, and anybody in the comment section will probably be able to correct me, but I think the Emirates Stadium, the football stadium for Arsenal, I think they have a heater as well for the snow, for days when it snows, so that the snow
okay,
melts basically before it actually hits the stadium. So you don't have those overly like snowy nights when it is snowing in London. So that could be a possibility for cricket. But then how much is that going to control like the conditions and stuff that you play in?
yes, I think that requires a little bit of research, and
Mm.
the authorities are going to have to figure that out. But you look at you look at the southern hemisphere. It's a pretty long period where there's not a lot of cricket going on, and there's still going to be clashes. There's no doubt about that. But I think it can ease the ramifications of those clashes. Um, but I mean, scheduling is the hardest part, right? There's there's even talk now that with the numbers that the IPL has produced, not to mention that the IPL is going to have its new uh, media tender out for the next 5 year cycle, and there's talk of you having two editions of the IPL within 1 year.
Mm.
So this is this is crazy,
Crazy. I
Yeah,
mean, the IPL is kind of in the perfect. They're in the perfect period in the year. Like it's
yeah,
when everybody's kind of in the well, it's at least in South Africa, everybody's in the like all the off season in a way, and in other parts of the world as well. You'll see something similar. So that IPL is actually taking the best spot, and rightly so, deservedly so. But it's going to cause problems for other teams because it's no like it's obvious and inevitable that other leagues are going to pop up around the world because I mean of course that's where the money is. So it's interesting because four tournaments all at once, or three tournaments at least, and then one after. It's a lot of cricket and a lot
so
of
I
things
mean,
happening.
globally, that spreads thin the quality of the talent, right? Because technically, a lot of the talent is coming from a certain number of countries. So for the UAE league, the UAE players have to be good enough to be able to sustain that interest, and to be fair to them, they still haven't had the sort of exposure to the top 10 teams to be able to generate that. So they're gonna have to find a way to balance that,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
mean,
gonna what they're going to have over other tournaments is the money. There's no
that's
question
definitely
about it
true.
because you look at
Yeah.
the number of IPL. I think KKR has an interest in that league. The Mumbai Indians has an interest in that league. The Chennai Super Kings has an interest in that league, and um, Kevin Peterson is leading a consortium to have a team in that league as well. So these are powerful people. These are powerful
Mm.
teams, and
Yeah.
sure they're going to attract the best talent. There's no question.
Yeah. And Werner has some interesting points over here. He says even if you don't take into consideration all the tournaments that will clash, we don't even know if our international players will be available throughout. The Australia ODIs have not been finalized. Plus, we generally play international cricket in January, and that's true. So what about the years to come for the tournament? November would have been the better, in my opinion. And I thought that eventually that would be the case, that they'll replace it with the Mzansi Super League with this tournament. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. It's very interesting that they would, especially with Supersport involved, knowing that there's international fixtures and knowing that they have the rights to all the fixtures as well, along with SAPC for the international cricket. It's surprising that they would put on a tournament like this slap bang in the middle of international um, season for South Africa. It's our summer. I mean, it's our main season, and we play majority of the time. We play a massive team in that period. So, is it going to be then just a tournament for fringe players, or what are they going to do? It's going to be interesting to see how they fit everything in. But yeah, let's move on to the main part of this particular show, and that is Dwaine Pretorius' press conference. I think it's a good opportunity for us to talk about it because we haven't heard from him in quite some time. We've seen him in the IPL, of course, a little bit, but he speaks about the IPL. He speaks about I think, multiple things, but this is the first time I'm actually reacting to it. So let's see what happens and what he has to say in this particular video, and we'll react to it live.
Time so that we can give everybody a fair chance to be able to ask. If you'd like to get started, we can go ahead right now. Who'd like to kick us off? Thanks, Zahir.
Hi, Dwaine. Zahir, just last season at the T20 World Cup, you had quite a specific plan at the death bowling. You went wide, and is that something you'll stick to in India, or do you now change it up because people have seen what you do?
I think it's important always to keep developing. So I'm working on a few different plans and strategies. Yeah, so I don't want to give away too much information at the start of the series. But yeah, I'll obviously try and do the best job for the team that I possibly can, whatever that plan might be.
That's an interesting one, Aditya. I think we can start and talk on here. We don't have to talk about every single little thing that he said, but we'll listen to all of it. But what can he still add to his game? You know, like when I look at Dwaine Pretorius, he's not necessarily someone that I saw as maybe a person that has a whole lot of different deliveries in his arsenal. He comes across to me that he finds something or a line and link that works and he sticks to it. And he has the discipline to stick to it. Where a lot of bowlers might not stick with it, try something different, and then get smashed as a regard. But he sticks to it. Like the question was asked quite well from Zahir, because he says that we saw that he analyzed the fact that we saw a lot of wide deliveries. That was his go-to for stopping the opposition from trying to hit him out of the park. And with his pace, it's going to be very difficult to add too much different types of skills to it. What more do you think he can add? Maybe a back of the hand slow ball, or what else do you think that he can add to his game to make him a little bit more deadly?
He can follow the footsteps of his teammate at the Chennai Super Kings, certain Mr. DJ Bravo.
That he's
He's
spoken
made
about
a
before.
career after bowling. He's made a career out of bowling slow balls and the ball that dips, right at the toes. The Yorker, for example, the fast Yorker. So I mean, the possibilities are endless, and ultimately cricket is a cat and mouse game, right? Because after a while the opposition knows what you're going to do, and you have to find a way to get around that and still be won over the opposition. So I don't think that's a problem. He'll find a way to evolve, and by all accounts, we know that Dwaine spends a lot of time with the video analyst, and I have no doubt that he'll find a way to gain that slight advantage.
Yeah, and I urge you guys to go back to our exclusive interview with him. I did an interview with him for the magazine, for the World Cup edition magazine, before they went to the World Cup, and he gave me a lot of insight into his mentality when it came to his bowling and what he's added and who he looks up to when it comes to his bowling, as well as his batting. So I urge you guys to go to the exclusive interview section and actually go and get that. It's very important that you guys do that, to go and find out what he can do and what he's capable of doing and what he's added to his game. So it's very important that you do that. Okay, so let's move on and talk about the next one.
Firdous, followed by Sanele.
Thanks. Hi, Dwaine. Dwaine, I'm just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your experience at the IPL. I mean, it must have been quite interesting just in terms of leadership at the franchise you were at and kind of how things went for you. Maybe you could tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, obviously playing in my first IPL was a great experience. I call it one of my bucket list items. So I'm very, very glad that I got the opportunity to play IPL and then also play for CSK, one of the most successful franchises ever in the IPL. So it was a great experience. Really enjoyed every moment of it. It's got a very a performance-based setup. So you get a lot of responsibility yourself as a player, to prepare like you want to, come up with the plans that you believe will work, and then making sure that you actually execute your plans. So I really enjoyed playing under Dhoni as well, and batting with them. Seeing the the brand he has in India just shows you how big he is and what he's done for the sport in this country. And yeah, I think it was awesome being a part of that.
Now that must have been music to Aditya's ears there. Uh, I mean, yeah, I mean, Ashwani said it in the comment section of your 20%. I really enjoyed playing under him, Mr. Tony, seeing the brand and value he has in India, just to show how big he is and what he had done for the sport in India. He believes he can do anything, and I'm going to try and bring his calmness and self-belief into the game. That is amazing, and this is why people speak about the opportunity of going to play in the IPL, what it can teach you, things other than technical things or learning how to play the game from a stylistic point of view, but also from a mentality point of view, an approach. I mean, that, like I said, Aditya, you must be listening to that and being like, you understand, you get it.
I do 100%, and he's talked previously when the IPL was still on. He talked previously about that innings that he played with Dhoni, and just the fact that he was batting with him, and they pulled off what was essentially like the El Clasico of the IPL, right? Because packed stadium, 40 odd runs to be made in 2 overs, and they pull it off. And Dwaine Pretorius shows us what he can do with the bat. So he credits a lot of his innings to Dhoni's presence at the other end. And obviously, he got to see what CSK was all about, the calmness within that environment. And I think CSK, like we've talked about previously with Rupa as well, that CSK it's a family-like environment.
Yeah.
There aren't too many highs and lows, and there's that consistent feeling. Security is given to players and things like that. And MSD, on the other hand, has also praised Pretorius quite a lot. He said, when I have some of the younger Indian players, I might have to guide them a little bit. But when players like Pretorius and Bravo are together, they know what they're doing. So, that freedom is also given. And it's that praise is a two-way street, because MSD has been quite vocal about his respect for Dwaine Pretorius as well.
Excellent. I was surprised actually how many IPL questions were actually asked in this presser, but let's continue.
Sanele?
Thank you so much, Skogazi. Hi, Dwaine. My question is, stepping away from the team just a little bit, I just wanted to know from you personally, what are your goals? What are you hoping to achieve for yourself personally in this series with India?
Well, obviously, I think to test yourself as a player against some of the best T20 players in the world, which the Indian team definitely is, it's definitely something that I would like to pride myself on, push myself hard to make sure that I make good impacts for the team as well, so that we can win the series. I think from a personal note, for me, it's very important that we win the series, get positive momentum going into the World Cup, and just establish myself as a hopefully a leading all-rounder in T20 cricket, and that's my personal goal.
Ken?
Thanks, Superkazi. How's it, Dwaine? Dwaine, you guys are obviously pretty experienced in playing on the subcontinent now, but was there anything that came out of the IPL that you feel should be brought into international cricket? Anything new in terms of T20 strategy?
No, I must say we don't necessarily have it in international level, but I do actually enjoy it quite a bit, like the strategic timeout part. I think that is actually quite a cool innovation. I know it obviously makes the game a bit longer, but what it does, it's like, it just splits the game into 3 parts, really, the one before and the one in the middle and the one after. I think it gives each team a moment to assess their strategy and what's the best way to go forward, and getting the coaches that always have the objective view from the outside's opinion as well on different situations. So I think it makes the game a bit more liquid, and obviously it breaks some momentum. So even if you might be out of it for the first few overs, you can always come back to it into the game after the strategic timeout. It just breaks the momentum of either the bowling or the batting team. So it makes it quite an interesting thing. That's the biggest thing that I really think was quite cool. That's the only thing that really stood out to me.
That's actually the one aspect of it, Aditya, that I don't necessarily like. The fact that a team can be dominating at one point, and then one strategic timeout can change everything. And all that pressure that you built up until that point, this gets thrown out the window in some cases. In other cases, it works in the other way as well. It works. Sometimes it can revitalize you and you can play better. So maybe perhaps from a drama perspective, to add a little bit of extra drama to a tournament like a World Cup, for example. I mean, that could possibly be something that they could look at. That's just a strategic type of timeout thing. I do think that the strategic timeout was a smart way to bring in sponsors too, from the IPL's perspective. So we should have a Cricket Fanatic strategic timeout. Maybe that will get us some sponsors for the live shows. But what's your thoughts on that strategic timeout when it was obviously implemented and when it came into the game? Are you one of those guys that is a lover of it or a hater of it, or are you in the middle?
I mean, technically, it's 2.5 minutes. It's not a huge deal, right? You think about the amount of time, like at the end of an over. Think about the amount of time it takes for the players to cross over from one side to the other and the next bowler to start bowling. That takes like a minute and a half minimum. So this is just an extra minute. So it probably feels a little bit longer because you end up seeing a couple of commercials along the way, but it's actually not that long. And the coaches come in, the batters or the bowling team will have a couple of their sports drinks and discuss a little bit, but I don't think it makes that much of a difference. I mean, I've seen it live, and it's hardly anything. It probably feels a bit longer when you're watching it on TV, but I don't think it's particularly long when you watch it.
Yeah. For me, it's more it's the break of concentration, man. For me, because when you take the time out, you're obviously going to break away from the game in that period. You're going to listen to strategies from your coaches. You're going to take some water. You're going to maybe change your pads, your gloves, or whatever the case may be. Cricket is such a mental game that small little lapses of concentration can change a game. So I don't know if in a World Cup, if that would be an interesting thing to add to the game, other than I mean, what do you think the original reason was for introducing it in the first place? Was it just to create more drama, or to?
Well, look, I think there are a couple of things. One is that this idea was floated around in, I think, the 2009 IPL, where the break would take place once around the 10th over mark, and it was a long break, like a 5, 6, 7 minute sort of break. So a lot of players at the end of that IPL complained about that because that really broke their concentration.
Yeah, that's hectic.
That disturbed the intensity of the game. And remember, at the time, the IPL was played in the South African winter. So, it's your body, it takes a hit. It takes a while to sort of get back into that intensity. And thereafter, they sort of reevaluated the strategic timeout, and it's now become this 2.5 minute break, which I think is okay. I know that a large part of it is to do with the financial benefit of having that strategic timeout and the sponsors that sort of pay for it through the course of the tournament. But I don't think it's a huge deal, man. Like, I think if 2.5 minutes can disturb your concentration that much, then I don't know. Then there needs to be some sort of reevaluation, because between the end of one over to the beginning of the other over at the other end, there's still a minute and a half. So it can't break your concentration that much.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it happens in Test cricket also, right? Like, you look at the frequency of the drinks breaks, and the same sort of thing is happening in Test cricket also. It's just that it's never really spoken about because you know boards often don't talk about the financial facet of Test cricket. But if you look at the number of drinks breaks that take place through the course of a session, it's pretty much it's the same or similar.
Yeah, and it could be a good idea for tournament like in the UAE, for example, like they're creating. The strategic timer would be perfect there, especially with the heat that they play in, etc. So, but like you said, there's obviously going to be aircon in the stadiums, etc., and all of those type of things. But still, you're going to still feel it in being out there in the middle, regardless. So, yeah, I thought it was a nice. It's a, to keep it as short as it is. It maybe does seem a lot longer than what it actually is, like you explained it now. And if that is the case, then I wouldn't be a completely I don't think I'll be completely against it maybe coming into international cricket. It's possible that it could, but I like the game as it is. I'm not a big guy that wants too many big changes necessarily, but I don't think I'll be too upset about it. It adds a little bit more drama to the vibe, and also like gives me that NFL vibes. Um, those timeouts and NBA. It gives me that American sports type of vibe where you take a timeout quickly, get your strategy in order. Maybe something's not going on. It could add some extra spice, and it does add some extra spice to the game as well.
Think about it. If in that 2.5 minute period, if they weren't showing commercials, instead they were showing everything that was going on the field, would it seem as long? My answer to that is probably not.
Probably not, yeah. Probably not. And you'll also be seeing, it's like, you'll also be seeing, for example, coaches maybe or someone come onto the field and talk to the players, etc. I mean, in that other break that you're talking about, like other breaks that you happen between overs, etc., you don't get the opportunity to get new strategies or insight from upstairs. But in the strategic timeouts, you kind of can get a message from upstairs.
No, you can. You can still get a message from upstairs because players call for drinks in that period of time. So guy
Are you
comes
talking about
running
those
with,
periods? Are you talking about those periods? Okay.
like between an over, like at the end of an over, when they're switching sides. A player typically comes in with gloves or a bottle of water or something like that, and typically that also has a message.
Mhm.
So it's not like it's also not like during strategic timeout they're giving out this gold mine of information that isn't already coming in through another player, like another substitute or something like that during the game.
But there could be something. For example, if say Dwaine is at that one end and he's struggling, and he can't put his finger on what the reason is, but someone from upstairs might be able to see that. I mean, the strategic timeout can kind of help that. If it happens directly after that particular over that he's struggling, or he's struggling to hit the ball or see the ball, or struggling to play a certain bowler, etc. So it does add a little bit more drama to it and interest into it, I guess. But maybe it's just because they called it something. Like you said, these things have been happening in cricket. It's just that we now more aware because it's been given a name. So interesting that Dwaine has actually brought that up as something that he actually enjoyed from the IPL. Okay, let's move on.
Hi, Dwaine. Looking at the fact that this series is being played in India, which are completely different conditions than what are going to be in the T20 World Cup, how do you then put the importance of this 5-match series for both the teams?
Well, first of all, I think there's a lot of points to that question, but I'm going to try and answer it as short as possible. So, firstly, I think every team is probably looking at this series, India and South Africa, to probably put either ticks, question marks, or definites in their book for who's going to go into the World Cup. I think a strong performance from any one of the players in this series can go really far to secure themselves a spot in the World Cup team. So that's on a more of a player note. Then combinations, I think it's important. measuring strength to strength. I mean, I think India is a very strong T20 side. I think we've gone a very long way and a very strong T20 side. So obviously, if we do well here, we can measure ourselves to one of the best teams in T20 cricket. So to see where we are, what do we need to work on before we get to the World Cup, and then a bit from the IPL, I believe like conditions in India is maybe changing a slight bit. We know Australia's got a bit more bounce, but it's also very true wickets, and it's also good wickets. Apparently, the areas that we are going to play at are also good wickets. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for us to get to know the Indian team if we might play them in the World Cup. So I think there's a lot of benefits that could be had from this series.
But that's very important that he specifically said that there's spots up for grabs here. That means that they are not as confident with the main group of players, I feel, from that statement than what we first thought. Because I thought that after the T20 World Cup, that 13 players were set. That 13 players that they will probably pick that 13 players most likely and just find one or two people. But it seems to him like, or from what he said over here, it's this place is up for grabs all around. They're going to basically, it seems like they're going to reselect again based on the core. But to be smart about it, and I'm sure that the staff will be smart about it, they will keep a core going from that World Cup as well. But interesting to also hear that he said, for example, something that you've been saying quite a lot on this channel when we spoke about Indian conditions and how it is changing, and that it might not, you don't have that connotation or that association with spinning tracks anymore when it comes to the white ball arena as much as you get it maybe in the test arena. But even there, the conditions are changing a lot in India too when it comes to the T20 game.
Yeah, and I think that what Pretorius said was along the same lines of Timba's response to that question, right? In his press conference on Sunday, I believe, Saturday, where he said that South Africa has got to always find a balance between playing a core group of players and giving young players an opportunity, even if they're under pressure. And he talked about, trusting their games and so on. So I think it is important, but we'll see how it goes. Ultimately, adaptability is going to be key for the South African team, and if players like Tristan Stubbs or in the future David Brevis are to be successful players, they need to be trusted and given that opportunity.
And given that freedom within the team as well to play a game that is natural to them. So yeah, let's continue that.
Talford, Johan, and then we've got time for one more.
Thanks, Ubukazi. How's it, Dwaine? As you said, it was your first IPL, but of course at a illustrious franchise which have won, many of them, and of course it didn't entirely go according to plan this year for CSK. Was there a bit of shock horror about that the wheels fell off as they did?
I'm surprised you asked that question.
No, not really. I think a lot. What's nice about the CSK team and franchise and the whole setup is it is very experienced. So I think we all understand that cricket doesn't always go your way, and I think it's really important to just take the positives out of a bad season and try and build for a stronger future, whatever that future might be and whatever the players might be that they look at. It's all about building for the next year or the third year and trying to make sure that a so-called bad season is not a complete loss. So learn lessons, make sure you move forward, and make sure you come back stronger next year. That's the only thing that you can do.
Johan, and then we're going to finish with Percy in Afrikaans.
Hi, Dwaine. Batting with Dhoni, did you learn something new in chasing runs or finishing?
Yes, I think I mentioned it in one of my interviews that I had after that game against Mumbai. The biggest thing that I learned from him is how calm he is at the crease, and how much he tries to take pressure off himself and try and put it onto the bowler. So he made me realize that actually in the death, the batter isn't under more pressure. It's actually the bowler that is under more pressure. You can still lose the match if you had to defend 18 in the last three three balls, and as a batter you can actually win it. So it was a fresh mindset, and also the calmness he tries to keep. He doesn't get too excited, he doesn't get too down on himself. Anything is always possible, and I love that about him. He's very optimistic. He believes he can do anything. So I'm going to obviously try and bring that into my game, the calmness, but also that self-belief that from any position, any game can be won.
Very important that we have that confidence in it as well. It's nice to hear stories like that about players from your country and your team giving such amazing lessons to our South African players. It's a good thing for, I guess, for both.
Yeah, there's a famous expression back in the day. I think it was coined by Ian Bishop, that if there are, was it some 15 runs to be made in the last over, it's not MS Dhoni's under pressure, it's the bowler. And obviously that's an extension of MS Dhoni's thinking, right? So I mean, he's just a genius, right? There's I don't think there's a better cricket brain around. And you look over the years, he's the lone standing icon in the IPL.
I'm just so happy that our players are learning this, because the next generation comes in that maybe don't get an opportunity to play IPL. They listen to a guy like Dwaine Pretorius, and it can actually change their careers going forward in the way they approach games.
Definitely. There was this interesting story of MS Dhoni once batting with Tisala Pereira. And I think they were 35 for 5 or something like that. And Pereira comes out, so Dhoni tells him, "Hi TP, let's bat." So he was like, so Pereira was like, "Wow, okay, that's good." So then for one over, he knocked it around a little bit. And when they met in the middle at the end of the over, MS Dhoni told him that I haven't got you to knock the singles around. I can do that. You're meant to come in and smack the ball. So don't worry about the scorecard. Just smack the ball. So Pereira ended up making a 40 of 18 balls or something like that. And MS Dhoni stuck around till the end. And he took the team to 180 odd after being 35 for 5. Wow. So that's MS Dhoni for you, and he finds ways. You could just tell that after Jadeja relinquished the captaincy and gave it back to Dhoni, you could just feel that CSK felt different. Under pressure, CSK, they were as they normally were. It's just that it happened too late in the tournament. Otherwise, they would have found a way to make it to the playoffs.
And if he had that same youthful exuberance in him still with this experience, imagine how unstoppable he would be.
But he confirmed that he's going to play the next year's IPL also, and he's going to continue playing the IPL till the IPL goes back to Chennai. I think that's his aim. So whether that's when he's 41 now or when he's like 55, he'll continue playing.
Yeah.
And
this is interesting. Sorry, continue.
And as AB de Villiers once said, I would have an 80-year-old MS Dhoni sitting on a wheelchair in my team.
The flattery is high. Vuzwa, to end of the show, this is a good comment. I love that SA will play a 5-match series rather than a 3-match series. I hope they play more 5-match series in the future, as it has a high intensity and not easy to win. But yes, and also it gives more people opportunity to have a chance. And that's what I like about it. Is with this 3-match series, sometimes after a bad result in the first game, every game then becomes a nerve-wracking thing, and no coach wants to try new things in that period. You want to play your best team till the end then, and obviously you want to get the wins. But with a 5-match series, there is a little bit more freedom to move things around a little bit and change things up and try new things. I like that it's a nice long series because it gives us an opportunity to see more guys maybe that we haven't seen before. So I'm glad to be able to do that can take place still, because we haven't been getting a lot of those type of long of a series in recent times, but that's obviously because of scheduling. That's obviously because of other things as well involved. With India, generally speaking, I mean, we even there's always been one long series, either in the ODIs or in the T20s. One of the two, they'll decide to do a little bit more extra games. Your thoughts on that, Aditya?
Um, Look, it's a World Cup year, so I understand that it's a 5-match series, and teams are trying to find ways to figure out the best combinations. But honestly, given the amount of cricket that's being played, I'm just not a fan of T20 internationals. Because I don't think the best teams play anyway. So that's my view generally about T20 internationals. I think it should be franchise cricket, and then you have World Cup every 2 years. But having said that, in this context, it's good to have a 5-match series.
Yeah, for this particular case. Yeah, in general, I agree with you. If it's just a normal, ordinary tour, I think that the T20 games are supposed to just. I think that should just be like. I would like the T20 series at the end of of a full series. If you're going to play your test matches, ODI, and then T20, or the beginning to kick it off. Like either as a curtain raiser or as a curtain closer, just to give the fans some, you know, energy and electricity and the opportunity to this, like, go crazy in the stands, and that's very marketable.
But just recently, the Ravi Shastri, the former head coach of India,
Yeah.
he said that in all the years that I was head coach, I have zero memory of any of the T20 bilaterals that were played. Would you believe it?
I can't believe it.
Coach.
I can't believe it because I
He's
know that
exhausted.
the emphasis on T20 international cricket hasn't been that great. We can see by the lists of top batters in T20 international cricket, the
Yeah.
guys that play the World Cups are not even in that list because they don't play throughout the year. Like I said, in South Africa, for many years, T20 cricket used to be our format where we used to try and meet our targets, give people opportunities, especially younger guys, and those type of things to catch up and make up for all of the things that never went right throughout the season. But now, because of this World Cups every 2 years, etc., that they're going to be doing, it's going to become a massive necessity because it's another trophy you can possibly win. And I think South Africa are a lot closer to winning a T20 World Cup right now than a 50 over World Cup. I feel that the team's identity is a lot more clear in the T20 format than it is in the one-day international format. Test cricket, we're playing a South African brand of cricket, which we'll probably play for many years to come, unless the personnel changes very much, like very quickly around the country, because most of our openers in this country have a very gritty type of mentality. Played bat long at the crease, etc. So that grittiness will come through by the players that we select, and automatically our style is defined in Test cricket by the players that we select in the team. But with regards to T20 cricket, it's the one aspect where they've identified a clear style that they want to play and have gotten close to actually implementing that style at the previous World Cup. So I think we're a lot closer to maybe winning a trophy in that arena. So now it's become an importance, but it's added extra workload to the rest of the world, of cricketers around the world. So yeah. Final words, Aditya?
Yeah, I mean, good luck. Good luck to South Africa and India. May the best team win, and it'd be great to see some of our Indian players in blue again and South African players in green and gold. It should be an interesting series, and again, I just hope that it isn't rain interrupted.
Me too.
Let's see. I hope some. I would love to see some Indian players get opportunities. I'd love to see South African players get opportunities. Should be fun.
So, guys, we will do a preview for the series and the tour probably on Wednesday. The first game's on Thursday, Aditya, if I'm correct. Yeah, so Wednesday probably we'll
9th.
do.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wednesday we'll probably do a preview of the series, either Wednesday or tomorrow. I'll have a think about it and decide which day is probably better. Tomorrow could actually be a better day because it gives us a whole day to actually do a team selection video, which I like to do with you guys, picking the best 11s. So let's maybe do our preview for the show tomorrow, for the series tomorrow, and then we can do like a squad selection or a team selection game on Wednesday night with you guys, where you guys get to choose your 11 that you'd like to see play against India in the first T20. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, share, and subscribe, and click that notification bell for all future videos. I was bound to make a mistake at some point. I've been saying the same thing every single day. Please go ahead and download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly as well. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. Become a patron today, please, guys. That will really help us out a lot. Please join the Patreon community. It will also ensure that we can do secret content for you guys that only patrons can see and nobody else. So please get involved over there so that we can start producing those type of pieces of content, because we're excited to give you guys exclusive content. So go ahead and become a patron today. I also have a PayPal account that is attached to this particular in the live chat if you want to donate or do anything from that perspective to add to Cricket Fanatics magazine. Then please get involved there. That's easier for you guys to donate in that manner. Go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your updates, your regular daily updates. All is on cricketfanaticsmag.com. So please go ahead to that and get involved there too. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you guys again for tomorrow. We'll most likely do the preview show. Take a look on our social medias to keep in touch on what we are going to be doing. And we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Cheers, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Peace.